Windows down, scattered clouds, smell of spring outside. Open road, you sitting close. Let's go somewhere
out of Tampa Bay
away.
today. We left our anchorage over in the Manatee River. It was a great anchorage, and we could have stayed longer, but we had wind that looks like it'll take us down to the Keys. It's quite a bit of wind. As we were leaving out of the bay, we had 30 to 35 knots of wind and probably 3 to 6 foot waves, one right after the other. So it was not that uncomfortable. It was just a little chaotic. Bodie's relaxing here. Carla is on the helm. She's steering, and we decided to try to do as little autopilot as we can for a little while. And we've been having some trouble with the autopilot, so we want to kind of save what we have. The water is as green as we've seen it. It's a beautiful, beautiful emerald green, and I don't know if it shows up very good on the video, but we're heading down toward the Keys, and we have a ton of wind, so we should have 20 knots plus heading down there. And right now we're sitting at 21 knots around, 21 knots of wind. So anyway, we'll try to do more video. It's been a little crazy, so trying to get the camera out wasn't easy. Come on, Bodie. Good boy. Alright, so we're cruising down the coast of Florida. Tuesday, April 11th. Bodie's licking Carla's leg. Carla's resting. And we are cruising at about, I don't know, anywhere from 18 to 20 knots of wind. We're doing about 6 knots, 5.5, 6 knots. And we're just cruising along. Really peaceful. This is what it looks like from down here. You get a much better idea when you see that mast flying around like that. That's how rolly it is. Very rolly, but pretty nice actually. We got about 3 to 6 foot waves. That's tossing us around a bit, but pretty cool. Weather's nice. It's just the winds are pretty strong. So we have about a day or so. Estimates around a day and maybe a day and a few hours to get down to the Keys. So we're going to do overnight. And we should sometime tomorrow end up in the Keys or very close to the Keys. And so we picked a couple anchorages down there, so we'll see if we can get settled somewhere down there. But anyway, that's where we're at. So we got 30 to 35 knots, sometimes close to 40 knots of wind. I think we went up to 38 knots. We got probably 10-foot waves, maybe bigger at times. Some of them are 4, maybe 5 feet. And then suddenly we have these giant freaking, especially when it hits 30 knots. Right now, 32 knots. And right after it hits 32 knots, we're going to have a couple of waves following it. There's a big wave right there. You go. And the second one, hold on. And the third one. So we've been battling this now for, I don't know, 24 hours. Longer than 24 hours. But we did get to watch dolphins playing in front of us in these waves. So if you wonder where dolphins go when there's storms like this, they play in the waves. They have fun. we are trying to do the same, but man, I am so tired at this point. But anyway, so yeah, we're at 30 knots of wind, and it's just rough, man. Very, very rough. So at this point, we had been hand steering for about 2 days, and we went basically 3 days total. We did two nights, and then it finally calmed down. That night we hove to, and but it was pretty brutal. We were at 30 knots sustained. We got up to 38 knots. There were times we were doing 8.5 knots of speed, and it was pretty rough. We only had a little bit of the jib out. We had only just a sliver, and then we had the main was completely reefed, and it was really rough. 10-foot waves, maybe closer to 15 at times, but it was quite the journey. I'm up on the front of the boat right now. That's me. And Carla is actually at the helm. It's beautiful out here. I'm up on the front of the boat so we can point out crab pots because we're dodging crab pots. And we're about 40 miles, 35 miles from the Florida Keys. So in a few hours we're going to be real close, and then we're going to probably maybe heave to and rest for a little bit just out in the water, and then go in the morning and find an anchorage and figure out where we're gonna park the boat for a little while. But it is just beautiful out here. This water is just green and clear as can be. We've seen dolphins out here. It finally calmed down, and the conditions are nice and calm. About 10 knots of wind, and we're kind of motor sailing. We got just a little bit of the sail up, and we sailed like crazy coming down here. I mean, we were doing 7.5 to 8.5 knots most of the way. We had 35 knot winds, consistent 30 knot winds. It was insane. We had huge 10-foot waves, anywhere from 4 foot to 6 foot to 10 feet, and some seemed even bigger than that. So it was just a crazy, crazy sail down here, but we made it pretty fast, and we'll be officially in the Keys in the morning. We're going to rest up because we are super tired. I've had no sleep at all. We hand steered because our autopilot's not working quite right, and I think all those giant waves kind of did the autopilot in. But we've had problems with it, so we did a lot of hand steering in some serious conditions, so we are worn out. But right now it's super pretty out. Some clouds over here. It's just beautiful out. That windy weather just kind of cleared out everything. And we did have some rain also, but super nice. At this point in the video, we had performed a heave to. Heave to is a technique that allows us to just drift with the current. It stabilizes the boat and it gives us a chance to rest. So we got to watch the dolphins. We had a bird come onto the boat. He came into the cockpit a couple of times, and then we just set up so that we could rest every half hour. We monitor our AIS and our radar just to make sure there was no trouble. And we didn't want to go into the Keys at night, so this gave us a chance to go in early in the morning, and then that gave us the day to get into the Keys and get anchored where we needed to.
Heading for the western shore, while the sun hits low, they days are full, and I'll spend them with you. So let's go somewhere far away. 'Cause if all I have is you, then I'll be just fine.
Heading in now toward the Keys, early in the morning, about 3 or 4 in the morning. Should get there by about maybe 9 or 10 in the morning. So how is it? So we're watching for crab pots because they're all over the place out here. But we've been able to avoid them for the most part. We're going right into the moon. The moon's our target because that is directly where we need to go. And the Keys are right under that moon somewhere out there, about 30 miles. So it should be pretty nice when we get there. The water's clear as can be. It's just freaking beautiful. Sunrise as we head in toward the Keys. And Carla's still up front, trying to spot crab pots. So in the Gulf between Texas and Mississippi, it's littered with oil rigs. But here in the Keys, so far from our experience, it's littered with crab pots everywhere. And I mean, they're all over the place. There's these fishermen out, even right now we're seeing them. And I'm pretty sure they're the ones that lay the crab pots out. They lay them in lines that go for, looks like days. We are just about to the Keys, and there's land in the distance there. I don't know if it shows up on camera. And there's the 7-mile bridge way out there, and that connects the Keys. And there's the bridge way out there that we have to go under to get over to the East Coast. So we are definitely only about maybe a half hour away from the anchorage we're going to. And so the water is green as can be, and it's beautiful.
Today is Friday, April 14th, and we are in the Florida Keys. We are anchored right now at Stirrup Key here in Marathon, and it's beautiful. We had quite the wild ride coming down from the Tampa Bay area. So to be in a place so calm and just peaceful as this, it feels like an awesome gift, let me tell you.
'Cause if all I have is you,